Hi everyone, this is Jim with a Blitz test postmortem. This is a postmortem of my Blitz game number 272. I was black here, and my opponent kicked off with e4. And I play, not e6, I play knight f6, the Alekhine's defense. So e5 is the main move here, and knight to d5. So with the Alekhine's defense, you're sort of challenging the pawn in the center immediately. You're allowing white to gain a bunch of tempos on your knight, but it encourages him to push his pawns forward. My opponent played c4 here, which I see a lot, but d4 is actually the most common move. They're actually about the same. A lot of times they transpose. Knight b6 is the main move here, and then you play d4, and you've gotten back into a position you could have gotten into otherwise. Although I had, I think my previous game, my opponent pushed on with c5, which was a bit surprising. It kind of lets the knight back in the center. One of the ideas with all of white's pawn pushes is he's trying to chase black's knight. In addition to gaining space in the center, he's trying to chase black's knight to a square where it's not going to be very... So d4 just protecting the center, sealing it up as it were, and then d6 from black, immediately challenging the center. So we're playing all the main moves, and now when I play the white side of the Alekhine's defense, I usually play e takes d6 here. But f4, the four pawns attack is a quite popular move, and in fact from the opening book you can see it's the top choice here. So exchange off one set of pawns. You need to do something active as black to keep white from just totally dominating the game. And then it looks like knight c6 is the main move here. But I played bishop f5. It looks like bishop f5 is okay. Both the chess engine, well, the opening book shows that move as favoring white by quite a bit, but the chess engine rates it as pretty comparable to knight c6. I think we kind of transpose into the knight c6 line. Oh, well, my opponent plays b3 here, so it actually takes us out of book. Probably the best way for white now is to say enough with the pawn moves already and start developing some pieces. That's the danger as white against the Alekhines is, you know, black is not wasting any time with pawn moves. He's wasted some time with the knight, but you know, very quickly he's going to get active play with his pieces going after this extended pawn center, and so you need to get some pieces out. So probably that's the best way to play. So after b3, the engine starts to like my position here as black. So a successful opening for the Alekhine's defense, and you can see it was real easy. It just took one move like that, and I've got an advantage. Okay, so e6, a natural move, and then bishop b2, which is what white's plan was in playing b3, get the bishop on this diagonal and support the center. And now already I have some interesting ideas like queen h4 check. Yeah, I didn't think of that, or bishop to b4 check. I just continue developing, which is not bad, but those other moves a little more active and more accurate. Knight to f3, okay, getting his pieces out, and bishop to e7. I'm just preparing to castle, and I don't want the piece to show up here on g4, although there's no real threat of that right now. It's the bishop is not in a position to support the knight, and the queen was already covering that square. So again, I probably could have thought about the move bishop to b4 check. Actually, I did think about it here, I believe, in knight b4. I just wasn't sure that it would lead to much. It might just lead to some trades. The engine is liking the move f6 here, continuing to challenge the center, which would also be very thematic for the Alekhine's defense, just counterattacking the center. Okay, but I played bishop e7, and now knight bd2 was played. And I castle. Here would be a good time to play knight b4. I also thought about this move occasionally. With this bishop on f5, you're always threatening the knight c7 attack. Okay, but I castled, still keeping an advantage. Bishop e2, and now knight b4. Okay, so I get that move in, and if I had played it earlier, it might have been stronger, though, because now I can just castle. And here is where I start to give back my advantage. So it looks like knight c2 was the best move here. Knight c2, rook f2, just winning the exchange. What happens? I thought knight c2, he would just play... I see what I'm missing. Do you see that? knight c2. This is a nice trick. I don't know what the name for it is, but you're gaining, you're achieving a fork with tempo. Knight c2 hits this rook, and when this rook moves, you've got knight to e3, which is a fork of the queen and the rook. So you're winning the exchange here. So I completely missed that during the game. Yeah, so after knight c2, say rook c1, yeah, that's what I was expecting, and then knight e3. And I'm going to win the exchange. Queen e1, and knight takes f1. Cool. Okay, so that's these double move tactics are sometimes hard to see. I guess there's a similar kind of tactic that occurs with pawns, where you have a pawn fork which is a couple moves away. You get in the first move with tempo, though, say if there was a piece here, and then you get in the second move, and it achieves a fork there. So anyway, similar kind of thing. The old double move fork. Okay, so I didn't see that, and I played knight d3 instead, and now the position is about even. So it shows how easy it is to let the advantage slip. You know, you've got active play with your pieces. That's your compensation in the Alekhine's defense, and you really have to take advantage of it and play the most accurate moves with your pieces. So after a few exchanges, there's not so much. Cancel that. What did he play? He played bishop to c3. Okay. So I went knight d3. He went bishop to c3. Okay, just getting away. I was expecting him to exchange, but he didn't. And now I play c5, counterattacking the center. Bishop takes. Now the exchange happens. Bishop takes. And rook to e1. Still, the game is in the range of about even, so I think I'm doing okay. I take here. Just want to open up some lines in the center, and I was thinking maybe I could get some pressure along the d file. Bishop takes. And queen to d7. And bishop takes b6. I thought this was okay. In fact, yeah, the engine thinks this is good for black. The doubling of the pawns is not so serious. It does open up some lines for my bishops, and these pawns can be pushed forward later to undermine this. I mean, this is an apparently imposing majority of pawns on the queen side, but they can be attacked and undermined with the pieces and the two isolated pawns here. So a good position for white. And what does he play here? He plays knight e4. Okay, coming forward with his pieces. And rook f to d8. More pressure along the center here. Knight f2, attacking my bishop. And now bishop to c5 is the move. Yeah. What did I play here? I played b5. Okay. So yeah, this is another point. I remember I looked over this game briefly ahead of time, and this is a point I wanted to stop and talk. This move b5 is what I played, and if you listen to my live game, you'll see that I was worrying a lot about this pawn majority here and thinking of ways to bust them up, and it's a logical move. It has some coherence, but it's not the best move in the position. And going back to what I said about the Alekhine's defense generally, I mean, your compensation here is the active play for your pieces, and this is just a nice move here. Bishop to c5 pins the knight, so you get to maintain this bishop on a good square, and you can always play these pawn moves. You don't have to play them right now. So keep that in mind. Also, with the bishop pair, you know, your advantage with the bishop pair is only going to be realized if you have your bishops well posted on active squares, and the bishop is just not doing a whole lot there. So this is a good example of kind of a failure of thinking during the game. You know, it's easy for me particularly to get focused in a single-minded way on a particular plan, a particular side of the board, a particular concept here. I was thinking about pawn play, and really the right thing to be thinking about here is active piece play. Okay, so that was it. I play b5. He goes knight takes d3, getting rid of one of my bishops, and right here we've got just an even position again from a position where I was winning. And it even gets a bit tricky for me, but I get to mess up the pawns. Oh, he took here. C takes b5. Yeah, that's given as the best move here. I guess he should grab that pawn. I was thinking I would still be able to round it up, but it's a bit tricky. Rook to a5 was played. Yeah, keeping pressure on the pawn, and he goes rook a to c1. And now the engine thinks I should go ahead and grab on a2 and allow the check. This is kind of dangerous. I was reluctant to play this way. Rook takes a2, rook here check, bishop to f8, and I guess yeah, after a while it goes to even again. So it's a playable way. It's a playable option here. The material is even, and I'm going to be able to unwind my king and my bishop here. Well, it says he should play h4 here. I'll probably play g6 so my king can walk out, and then rook f1, trying to coordinate on the f7 square. Okay, so instead my opponent played, let's see, no, after rook a c1 I played g6 right away, so my king, in case of a check, my king would be able to have an escape square. So this was played, rook to c8, king to g7, and then the rook went back to c2. Right here there was a very interesting option that white had to play rook c7, and actually I saw that in the game. This is fork. It's hitting my bishop, and the bishop needs to move. The engine is recommending bishop d8, and then he picks up this pawn, and I can grab the a pawn. So what's the material? The white has an extra pawn, but his extra pawn is this doubled b pawn, so it's not that impressive. I can probably round up one of those, and it's only a slight edge for white, so not too bad. Even if he had played the best move, I'm still in the game. He went back to c2, and I took on b5, and the game stays in the range of even. So interesting game. You know, we both missed some chances there, but I had the better chances at one time. So we continue some maneuvering with the rooks, and I decided to get off a pair of rooks at this point. Hard to say if that's a good decision or not. The engine, yeah, has no particular opinion. I just was thinking it would be easier to play. I was still worried about him coming down to the 7th rank and doubling here, where I have some weaknesses and an awkwardly placed bishop. And I went with b6 here, with the idea of creating an outpost for my bishop. Rook c7 was played, bishop to c5, knight to g5. I missed this. Now he's coordinating on the f7 square. I missed this idea that the knight was coming in there during the game. What's interesting is the suggestion from the chess engine here. It's saying I can't really defend the pawn. I tried to defend the pawn in the game, and I very quickly lost. So it's saying just give up the pawn and move the king. King to h6. I'm assuming he's going to take here. He could play h4, but say he takes. It's about the same. And king to h5. Doesn't this look scary? The knight moves, and then the rook comes over here and takes the h7 pawn. You know, even if I saw this far in my calculation, I would still be reluctant to play this way. How would the play continue? White could play rook a7. One interesting point is that the knight has no great moves from this square. These two squares are covered. That's covered. He could go here. Yeah, maybe knight d6 is a try. But then I went a pawn back, just by taking. Of course, he's threatening to take here, so h6. Now g4 check. This all looks really scary to me. It's really interesting that the engine thinks this is just fine. I would be very reluctant to play like that in a real game. Okay, so I just saw my pawn was under attack, and I defended it with the only move I saw, rook to f1, and this just loses because of another tactic here. If you didn't see the game, and if you're not looking at the chess engine, you might want to see if you can spot the tactic. But I totally missed that. Knight can take on e6 because of this pin. So pretty nice and well spotted play by my opponent. This knight g5, well, it's another example of one threat followed immediately by another threat. I should think of a word for that because that's a kind of thing it's easy to overlook, even in a live game where you maybe see the immediate threat, you think you have a way to meet it, and you don't notice that there's a second threat right after it. It's like getting to the second threat with tempo, basically. So I played rook f1, he played knight takes e6 check, and now my king is forced to h6 anyway. And he grabs my bishop, which is also going to win another pawn. And the game is basically over at this point. I play on, trying for some complications. I think I will just race through the rest of the moves. Basically, he does a nice job of advancing these pawns carefully, never letting them become vulnerable, and the advantage stays in white's favor throughout the rest of the game. So good play by my opponent here. I'm just doing my best job to slow things down, trade off all of these pawns, and just hoping to be able to hold it up somehow. But basically the problem is with pawns on both sides of the board, even if I come over here and manage to stop these pawns, he's going to be able to gobble up the pawns on the king side. But looks like he's got enough going to, just on the queen side here, he's got enough going with these pawns that I can't stop them. And I resign at this point. So interesting game. I thought it was pretty well played. Kind of a subtle oversight that turned it off at the end, and a few chances I missed in the opening. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Leave any comments you have in the section below, and I will see you again soon. Bye.